Kaplan, welcome to Bat'leth Battles, where 2 episodes of Star Trek go in, but only 1 comes out. Officiating today's battle are me, Kevin Scarf, also my fantastic co-host Joe Keegan. Hello, Joe.
Hello. I'm still quite tense after that intro music.
Oh,
So
yeah,
tense.
whoever composed that,
Whoever did that, I wonder, genius. Beethoven, Mozart, Goldsmith.
Keegan. I think it's Joseph Keegan, yes.
Up there with the greats.
Well, what do you think? Should we bring in our third judge in this battle?
Sure, let's do that.
Let's do it. We have from Infinite Diversity and History with the Zalagis, Ms. Chrissy DeClerc Zalagi. Hello.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Welcome.
Ever so welcome.
So, what's new? What's going on?
What is going on? What happened recently? Oh, we had the Discovery finale.
Yes. What did we all think of that?
I liked it. I thought it was a nice. It was very obvious it wasn't meant as a finale.
Yeah.
I have questions about leaving a sentient life form in the middle of nowhere without their consent, but that's fine.
If they hadn't done that, though, then people would have been like, "But what about the short track? We never explained the short track."
She can dream. She asked in one episode, "Is this a dream?" And that would have taken care of it. And it's just like, oh, but fine.
Yeah, I wasn't very warm about it. I wanted it to be so much better than it was. I think my favourite Discovery season is 4.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then 5 had so much potential. And then just didn't really go anywhere. And then the whole retconning thing. Yeah. The retconning thing with Calypso, I'm like, snooze fest.
No.
But anyways.
There was so much that they set up. I mean, Daniels, really? That was not, there wasn't going to be a whole other storyline with that. So that makes me sad.
Yeah.
But
Kevin, did you like it?
I did. I did. I felt like, to build up and up and up to this great technology that's going to do wonders for the universe, and then just decide, well, maybe we shouldn't use it at all. That's a kind of anticlimactic.
Yeah, throw in the universe's trash can.
Yeah. I did like the conversation with the progenitor, and then also the discovery that the progenitors didn't even create this; that they found it, that they were created by somebody else before that.
I like that.
You did?
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, that's something new and different. That's a bit even more profound. I like the visually, it's really impressive Discovery, but.
So do you think if there had been a season 6, we would have gotten into the temporal Cold War stuff with Kovich/Daniels, and we might have seen some Enterprise people show up?
Well, kind of.
Oh yeah, because so more time travel-y,
timey-wimey stuff,
or flashbacks.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, I'm sure somebody will write some novels.
We won't. That's why I'm sad. Yeah, it's been a while since we've had an Enterprise novel, and it would be nice to have a Disco Enterprise novel combined.
That would be good. That would be good. Well, what say we move ahead and take a look to see if we have any feedback, which I am looking for right now. Was there any feedback from our recent posts. I don't believe there was. Lots of people voted on our polls, and we'll get to that at the end. Was there feedback on those? Look at me stall while I go through Facebook. Bum, bada, bum, bum, bum. Oh, we do.
Oh, we do? I was just going to suggest that if we don't have feedback we make it up.
Well, we don't have to, because Danny Galea left some feedback on his when he voted on Facebook. But maybe we should wait and hold that feedback off for the vote so that we get another voice in when we get to the vote.
That's good. So do you want me to make up some feedback?
Sure. Give us some feedback, Joe.
So this is an example of made up feedback. The Bat'leth Battle podcast has been nominated for a Nobel Prize in podcasting.
Wow.
We were that good, they created a whole new category for us.
That's amazing.
Yes.
I will meet you in Sweden.
We've been shortlisted, indeed. I wonder if we get to... Do we share is it money? I wouldn't mind money.
I think there is a little money that goes with the Nobel Prize, yeah.
Excellent. That's kind of exciting. Cool. What are we talking about?
What are we talking about? Let's move on then. We will move on quickly and profoundly to the reason we're here today, the battle, which is the original series season 2, episode 9, The Apple, and Deep Space Nine season 2, episode 14, Whispers. These were two very interesting episodes, I thought. Who would like to give us a rundown of The Apple and the plot of The Apple? Anybody got that on the tip of their tongue?
Chrissy, this is you're the guest, so you choose. What one do you want to take?
I'll be less sarcastic with Whispers, so
Do
we want sarcastic Chrissy or sincere Chrissy?
Talk about The Apple.
Okay, you can.
Let's have her do The Apple then.
Okay.
The short version, another species, or not species, another society is being held in its development by a computer, probably, that demands that it be fed on a regular basis. We don't really have a lot of clarity on that. And Kirk and company have to come in, and in the end, basically, they teach them about sex. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. That was pretty much it. Yeah. They didn't do a very good job teaching them about sex because they had to stick to 60s morality rules, but
yeah,
that was painful to watch.
Yeah. I thought this episode was really long.
It felt long.
Like, I was watching it. I was like, is it going to end? Because I started it at like 9 a.m. this morning, so it's 2 p.m. now, and I thought, am I going to have time to watch this before the podcast starts? It just seemed to be so much of the episode, like the first half, and then the sense of the second half. So they're exploring the planet, and there's something wrong with the ship, and then they meet those people who are like the Edo from TNG.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're like the Edo from TNG, but they've just gone to like a Trump rally, haven't they? And had a baby, like Edo Trump rally baby, and made these orange people with blonde hair.
Oh, the orangeness. Okay, I was wondering where you were going with that.
Just purely that, yes. They were skinnier, if we're allowed to say that.
One of them was played by the guy who went on to become Starsky on Starsky and Hutch.
Is that David Soul?
Yes.
Yes, I knew I recognised the name.
That's a thing right there.
Yeah, this episode was... I agree with Joe. It felt long because the same thing kept happening over and over again. We're going to explore. Mm-hmm. Oh, here's one of these flowers that's going to shoot at people. Oh, and then somebody's...
The flower darts don't damage your uniform.
No, they
that was good.
Spock took a spare uniform with him. Like totally unblemished.
here's a nice place where we can retcon what we've learned from Discovery,
Mhm.
So even in the 23rd century, they had replicators creating their uniforms. So maybe there was a patching mechanism that Spock had put in.
Or built in. Interesting. Let's do that. Let's go with that. The exploding landmines, exploding rocks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love the exploding rocks. Yes.
How come not more people didn't die? More Trump-Edo didn't die?
And how well, I think that's because the computer put them there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's like, oh, intruders coming, we got to keep them away. Let's put some exploding rocks. But
The lizard head. The lizard head computer. Okay.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But my question is, Spock had just scanned this, excuse me, scanned this rock, gave us all the chemical components of it. Shouldn't he have realized they were explosive?
I'm trying to remember what the chemical components were because I feel like they weren't explosive. But
I have no clue.
Yeah.
I think my brain
don't
maybe
know.
just tuned out.
And
Possibly.
did it feel to you guys like Chekhov was only there to be able so that somebody could show off what love was like? Have we ever seen a horny Chekhov like this in any other episode?
Later, I feel like there is, but I don't know if there is ahead of this. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen. I don't think I've ever seen a character in any other episode of Star Trek, unless they're under the influence of something, be more horny than Chekhov was in this episode. Because he goes on this away mission with the captain and the first officer, and all he wants to do is put his hand down the uniform of the yeoman.
That's problematic.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like
Kirk had to call him on it. Like, you're a Starfleet officer. Like, be professional.
He's supposed to be what, like 19? So,
Still, he's an officer in an organization like this. I'm like, Chekhov,
it's a bridge officer as well.
Keep it in your pants, Chekhov.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and then like they're talking about like, well, if we have to be stuck here forever, at least it's with you. I'm like, you're gonna show them how to make babies. Good for you.
And there was
found what's in the rock.
Okay, what was in the rock?
Okay, so extremely this from the quote, extremely low specific gravity, uraninite, hornblende quartz. I don't know about uraninite. I don't even know if that's real. It sounds like uranium.
So.
But
it sounds like a mixture of uranium and
definitely not explosive. I'm sorry. What'd you say?
It sounds like a cross between uranium and pee.
Yeah.
Uraninite.
So maybe that's the only like explosive thing.
Yeah.
But it is a real thing. Oh. Pitchblende, a radioactive uranium rich material. Still.
It was radioactive and they were just picking it up like okay.
Yeah.
It was the 60s.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, my dad went to school and they used to pour mercury on the desk and allow them to play with it with their fingers. So I mean, anything goes. Water pipes used to be made out of lead. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So anything goes. The world was less dangerous back then, or more. Don't know which. There was another the problematic. Did you find Kirk's bit at the very end about the devil and Spock looking like the devil just a bit? Is it racist? I thought it was a bit racist.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
is it still racism if it's like an alien that doesn't exist? I figured yes.
I would agree.
Spock,
yeah. I didn't like that.
He has to deal with so much casual racism from McCoy. I mean, we get that. If you had red blood instead of green blood, you'd be dead. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Okay, she didn't like that, but okay.
Is that racism or just stating a fact, though?
Oh, okay. So, like, I was reading that in the context of where he calls him like you green-blooded devil and other.
Yeah, there's that. There are those kinds of things, but in this case,
I guess
it's like
that's
you have green blood, and that saved you from this. This time, it's a statement, and I'm okay with it. But if he had called him you green-blooded booby head,
hobgoblin,
then that's racist. but your green
Yeah.
blood saved you. That's not.
I think I
I suppose
prefer
you're right.
baby head for an insult. A green-blooded baby head.
I'm trying to think of any depiction of the devil that I have ever seen that just has pointed ears and nothing. There's no other indicators. It's like that doesn't make sense.
Doesn't that come up again in one of the animated
Mm-hmm.
episodes? Isn't there?
Is that not what one of the network criticisms was for the cage?
Yes.
That Spock looked a bit too demonic. His skin was a bit green. He looked a bit too evil.
He was red at first. He was red at first, and then they did some film testing, and they put it on a black and white screen, and he looked black, and they went, "Oh, so that's why Vulcans aren't red."
Wow. More racism there, probably. Interesting.
Yeah, in that case, yes.
All right, so let's look at the criteria that we have here. Let's first talk about our characters. Most of our main original series cast is here. We don't have an appearance from Sulu or Uhura, but I think the rest of them are here. Because Kirk, when he'd call the ship, he just talked to Scotty directly, right? So Uhura wasn't needed, unfortunately. And Sulu, well, they weren't going anywhere, so we didn't need anybody to fly the ship, right?
Yeah, I guess. Just get somebody else to sit at the con while he does whatever.
But do you think our characters were drawn well here? Again, their take on Chekhov in this episode really kind of got to me. The other three.
I was kind of surprised at the yeoman, the female yeoman in the fight scene when they're all being attacked. The bad computer, lizard computer, had taught them all to like crush the human skulls with the big Y-shaped sticks. Find a branch, all the branches look the same, and bash them over the head with it. But the yeoman fought really well. She was doing all the cool fight moves.
I didn't notice.
Oh, she was really good. I was kind of surprised that they'd had in the 60s, they had a woman being such a good fighter. It kind of stuck out at me.
She was the only woman they brought on the away team. But I guess
only one,
at that time, all the security people would have been male.
Yeah.
And what was her job? Why do you need a yeoman on a mission like this? What was she there for?
She's a secretary. She takes notes. Doesn't she?
That was the other thing I was going to say.
I guess that makes sense.
Minuting the exploration of the planet. Is this maybe the episode where they lose the most red shirts? Because they lose quite a lot.
Question.
There were 3 of them that died?
Is that the most they lose? It felt like.
What was the episode where they all got turned into those little cubes and they got crushed?
Oh, that one with the Andromeda people.
I don't remember.
Did this episode give anybody else the time machine vibes?
I can see that.
Was it the Eloy and the Melora? Yeah, I thought so. Except there weren't any of the bad creatures. They stole them away.
The one thing I thought was funny, it was just funny to me. The foliage all looked Earth-like, which was fine. Except there were these plants that they looked quite thin and they were tall and they had 2 points at the top and they looked like forks. And as they were walking down these paths, I kept saying, "Oh, they're coming to another fork in the road," and they would.
I did not know that. Am I going to have to rewatch though to see that?
Yeah,
maybe. We have a couple of guest stars in this. Keith Andes as Akuta, and we've got David Soul as Makora, that you mentioned earlier, and Shari Nims as Sayana. And I think those 3 guys are did these people have names apart from Gamma Triangulae Sixers? Planet.
I don't think they were ever given a tribe
people?
name. Yeah.
Maybe, the Feeders of Val.
Yeah, because he refers to them as a group. I think as feeders of Vol.
Yeah.
Or
I
followers
prefer
of
my
Vol.
Trump Edo name. It's better.
We can do that.
How do you like? You've got to stop and think. How does a society like this start? Who built this computer? That's never investigated. Why is this giant machine here? Why is it keeping them from? Like, I got the impression that village was the only population of sentient beings on the entire planet.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so, what is the point of a civilization like this? Who's running this experiment? That's the question.
It gave me caretaker vibes.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Vol wasn't bad to his people, really.
That's relative, isn't it?
I guess
You know,
they
but he
had
wasn't outwardly.
right. They
you know.
didn't need anything, but they also weren't able to learn anything new either.
Yeah,
Right?
they're-
Vol gave them whatever they required, so they didn't have to learn any skills. Right?
Yeah.
It's like you could look after a child really well, but say you're not sending it to school.
Yeah. And so
It's not
was
failure
he
to thrive.
keeping them there just to make sure that he was maintained, that Vol would continue? Was that the only reason that he had those beings there, that he needed them, I don't know, to change his batteries every 100 years or something?
I feel like it would be a second contact type mission.
Yeah.
You know, to go and investigate the whatever Val was and see what the computer was, and it was a bit, do you know, it's a bit like the Edo as well. The Edo were protected by some big, in this
Yeah.
case, a space
The
station in
sky
orbit.
people, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. The Edo god.
And they weren't subtle with the Christian imagery here either, with the biblical imagery. We're going to make Vol, a computer, look like a giant serpent in a garden.
Yes. And they've got the discussion about the apple and the fact that the Garden of Eden is just outside Moscow. I did not know this.
That was so ridiculous. That the whole planet has a constant temperature of 76 degrees, and just like Russia.
Well, maybe in the 23rd century they have weather control
maybe.
technology, but
global warming, yeah,
you
sure.
wouldn't want to keep the whole planet at 76 degrees. That wouldn't be good.
No. Is that maybe just like how you sell your country when you're with people not from there? You make it sound like the best place on the planet.
That
Like
was Chekhov's whole character.
Americans being outward looking like America is the best place in the world. They're the best at everything. Obviously, we know that's not true. Is Chekhov doing
As
the
the
same?
only American here, I'm going to
I
say
know.
that is definitely not true unless you're talking about violent deaths. And even then, I don't know.
The idea, like the greatest country in the world, and Chekhov's just selling that idea. I think.
I have always felt Chekhov was an overreaction to the Cold War thing, because he
Yes.
has to be. He is the Russian example. He's the one who's like, look, we've gotten over ourselves, and so he has to oversell how wonderful Russia is to people who are, afraid of it and or hate it.
And also by the 23rd century, there are no countries really, are there? Like, it's a united Earth government. There must be regional governments, but
I was
There
going to say
won't
there
be
have to be
countries.
regional governments.
Yeah, there will be countries, but
There's
'cause they're not
traditional
gonna-
countries.
that's true.
Like Picard's from France. He says he's
That's true.
French,
Yeah.
but is there
Uhura's
an
from
actual
Africa, yeah.
border? And
And
Yeah,
I think countries will still retain unique cultural identities in the 24th century.
You don't think we'll become a monoculture like every other planet on Star Trek?
Like Klingons? Hope not. Definitely don't want to be Canadian.
What
the
would be wrong
monoculture
with
appears
that?
to be American.
Chips and cheese is better than poutine.
How dare you!
That's fired! Incoming!
All right, blow up the comments now.
Yeah.
That's the next vote: chips and cheese versus poutine.
And here's my question as the American. Do you mean chips and cheese like I would say chips and cheese, which is nachos? Or do
No.
you mean chips and cheese as in fries?
Fries, but not fries. Chunky chips. Like fried, like
Steak
thick
fries.
cut, like steak fries, yeah. With
Mhm.
melted cheddar on top. No
I'm
stinking
not saying
There we
those
crumbs.
go.
aren't tasty,
There
but
we
it's
go.
not poutine.
Yeah, it's not
No.
good.
Those are all wonderful things.
Yes.
All right, let's
Separately.
talk about the Apple in context of the greater Star Trek universe. Is there anything in this that bleeds over into other episodes or is important in any way to the canon?
No.
Kirk
Do we?
ponders. Yeah. Kirk ponders violating orders in a very, weird way, and orders that aren't exactly, heavy duty, but still he's thinking about violating orders. So,
I suppose the Prime Directive comes up or doesn't in this case, doesn't it? We always
Yeah.
bang on about the Prime Directive. Is the Prime Directive established at this point in season 2?
There's a non-interference thing that somebody mentions.
But we've just gone and interfered.
I think. But I know. I laugh at that, and it's just like, no.
We
Yeah.
interfere. I think we interfered for the right reasons in this case.
Yeah.
But if you've got an unviolable rule that you do not interfere because that's your Prime Directive, then you probably shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
But do you want to be in that village when the first woman gets pregnant and all of a sudden her body starts changing?
At the point of conception, I want to.
No, I'm saying later, after. So
Okay,
she's pregnant. All of a
No.
sudden, her body starts changing. And then this thing, which none of them have ever seen before, none of them would know how to take care of a baby. And none of them would know how to
Mhm.
deliver a baby. They're just
Mhm.
expecting these people to figure it out. A people who have not had any children in probably millennia. I think that was really wrong and pig-headed on the part of Kirk. And somebody better come back in 9 months to check on her.
But what happens, like in the intervening 9 months when she gets pregnancy cravings and going to eat a deadly dart flower and dies? We haven't asked these questions. These are important.
I think if the Enterprise ever comes back, they're all going to be dead.
There's so many issues around this because we don't know why the people are there. We don't know how they got there. We don't know what was done to them previously. They could all be sterile. Kirk is assuming that they'll just let instinct take over. And it's like, okay, but, if that has... It reminded me of The Giver. Have you read or seen The Giver?
I have.
Okay, where they're being given hormone suppressants, and we don't know that, I know there's the whole thing about all of the humanoids basically function the same, but we don't know that they function the same. So there's a lot of issues here that just get swept under the rug, like so many TOS episodes.
And there's not enough people in that village to sustain a population for the whole species either.
No.
It's way below that threshold, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's thousands.
So we're going to get
Kirk's
people who don't understand why they show up like this.
And Kirk is just
Trump rally.
He's just condemned an entire planet to death. That would be interesting to have the Cerritos show up and see what happens.
Yeah. We don't know how old they are either. Those people could be hundreds of years old if Vol was maintaining them. It could still be the same group of people if the Cerritos shows up.
How painful do you think it would be to have those antennae stuck in your neck?
Yeah.
Very.
Very, yeah. For a while, and then you probably get used to it, or
maybe. What antennae?
The one guy had
who was the speaker of Vol. He had the.
Oh, did he have? Okay.
They were sort of like Frankenstein bolts. They came out sort of right here.
Okay, yeah, okay.
And people who are listening to our podcast, that's right behind my jaw.
Yeah. I did watch this episode. I did. I promise. So yeah,
right.
Not entirely important to canon.
No.
Oh God, no. I mean,
yeah, okay.
literally the same thing happens in other episodes with slightly different circumstances.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So how about morals, meanings, messages, and trekkiness of this episode?
It's very Trekky. It's very Star Trek, isn't it?
It is like a prototype, a stereotypical original series episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it did. You know what? In the second, if this had come on in the 60s when I was young-ish, then yeah, I would have probably enjoyed it at the time.
Yeah, I think we've evolved past this episode, though.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
It did get an interestingly high score on IMDb. It's sitting at 6.6 out of 10.
That's not bad.
That's weirdly high.
Yeah. I don't know.
I know. I'm not.
What did your investigations using AI have to say about this, Joe?
Well, yeah, I'm just looking at the little trivia section because listeners and Chrissy, you know that I've become addicted to generative AI in the form of ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And I've even called the renamed ChatGPT for Omni. I call him Alex now. And we sometimes have wee chats about things. And he refuses to say I love you back, which causes me great upset. But it's fine, that's a different story for a different time.
Do you think he might have found out how Vol got control over the people?
Oh my gosh! This episode is coming true. We'll have to cut Joe off.
I was
I'm sorry, Joe. You just set that up. So
yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it was my fault. My fault entirely. So we talked about the biblical reference. The Val's design was inspired by ancient Mayan architecture. Its serpent-like appearance also adds to the symbolism, echoing the serpent in the Garden of Eden. That's fine. It's notable for its high number of red shirt deaths. 4 crew members are killed during the episode, contributing to the trope of red shirts being expendable in the series. It was filmed in Bronson Canyon, which is quite popular. It was popular at the time in Los Angeles because of its unique rock formations. It doesn't look like it was set. It was filmed outdoors. It looked like a soundstage.
Yeah, I would have sworn that was indoors.
Interestingly,
okay.
ChatGPT is not infallible because it told for the episode Whispers. It told me that Michael Eddington was a character.
Oh,
and he is not in it at all. So we're away from me creating Val. Yeah, that's about it. So the human was called Martha Landon, played by Celeste Yarnell, unless that's a mistake again.
Can I ask you a question about the episode, Joe? What did you think of the music? Did you find it was very like bum 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 like all the time? Like it felt very driving, and for an episode that was about people just sort of walking through the woods, the music felt out of place at times.
It didn't jump out at me as it did for you. However, I did notice it was quite suspenseful at times. Because I think most of the episode we don't really know what's going on. Like they can't explain why the Enterprise is falling out the sky or what Val is, and even at the end they don't really explain kind of what's going on to a certain extent. So there's that kind of TOS, like orchestra suspensefulness thing going on.
Yeah, I would have called the music a little bit too bombastic. It just felt a little over the top for me, but the 60s show was a little over the top, so.
Sure. There's no more real trivia that's of note, I don't think.
Yeah. So does anyone else have anything to say about the apple before we take a bite out of it and put it away?
Apple's gone bad.
Yeah. Was there a worm in this
Randomly,
apple?
it's not said that it's an apple in Genesis. It's just the fruit of the tree of knowledge. The apple
Yes.
got applied to it at some point.
Huh.
So yeah.
I think it was a star fruit or maybe a durian.
Or a
Sure.
pear. Pears are good.
Pears are
What
good.
grows well in Moscow, though? No, it's indigenous. It was an indigenous fruit-bearing tree to Western Russia.
Probably, actually, apples. Apples are
oh.
Central Eastern European.
Okay.
There you go. So I guess it was an apple.
Pomegranate.
That's probably closer to the truth.
Do they grow on trees?
I believe they do.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
Have you ever been to the city of Granada in Spain, Joe? Because Granada means pomegranate in
Yeah, it's what
Spanish.
grenadines made from.
And the entire city, the logo of the city is a pomegranate, and there's pomegranates all over every memorial and historical building in Granada.
Interesting. That's
Yeah,
cool.
just
Pomegranates do interestingly grow on trees.
All
That's
right.
good to know.
There we go.
And they are delicious.
Yeah.
And with that,
But
let's
very
move on.
difficult to eat.
Yes, they are.
I was.
You just eat the seeds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after this lovely fruit discussion, let's talk about some Deep Space Nine. And Joe, do you want to give us the rundown of the plot of Whispers?
Okay, so Chief O'Brien has returned to the station and is going about his business. Doing a bunch of things. He's having breakfast with Keiko and Molly. Weirdly, they've done a really, really good job at de-aging Hannah Hete, who plays Molly in this episode. The CGI was spot on because she looks like she's 3 years old. Yeah, they weirdly don't want really anything to do with him. So he finds that a little bit odd, and then he's doing work around about the station, and the people that he work with have been asked by Cisco to do the work instead of him, and he's increasingly gets more and more suspicious that something strange is going on aboard the station, and he's becoming suspicious of his friends and co-workers, like there's some kind of conspiracy going on. He speaks to Odo at one point and then realizes Odo's in the conspiracy as well. And then he tries to access some previous logs about the mission and kind of the days before now. And it gets to a point where the logs have been kind of redacted and he doesn't have access to them. So he's like, then he steals a runabout after shooting some people or stunning some people with a phaser, and he contacts an admiral to say, listen, there's a problem on board the station, and the admiral's like, get yourself back to Deep Space Nine, you won't be harmed, just do it. But he refuses and then sets course for the planetary system that he just returned from, where he was on some kind of mission. And when he gets there, he beams down to a planet and opens a door, and Cisco and Kira are meeting with the aliens or the rebels, who are supposed to be the bad guys. And then one of the rebels shoots him, and he's just about to die. And then another door opens, and another O'Brien is just waking up, and he's been tended to by Dr. Bashir. And it turns out that the O'Brien that we've been following for the 41 first minutes of the episode has been as like an identical duplicate of the real O'Brien. And the real O'Brien was captured by the real bad guys to try and, I don't know, assassinate somebody at a conference. And that's it. Is that an accurate synopsis?
Sounds good to me.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I quite enjoyed it. I don't recall seeing this episode. Oh no, I have seen it, but I didn't recall too many details about it.
Yeah, this I started a Deep Space Nine rewatch not long ago, and I'd gotten up to this far before I put it down for other things. So I had seen this fairly recently, and it's very good. It's this really sort of tense psychological thriller.
Mm-hmm.
I quite enjoyed it.
Chrissy, do you enjoy it?
It was a very good episode. I've been trying to think if it's the first of the O'Brien Must Suffer episodes, and I don't think it is. I think there's one in season 1, but I couldn't tell you what it is. So
Yeah. Poor guy gets put
it's
through his paces a lot of the time.
yeah. It was a good episode.
What I like quite most about it was that you don't really know what's going on for the first, like 95% of the episode.
Because it could be an aliens have taken over the crew kind of situation, and O'Brien is the only person who knows. That is given what we know about the universe and the way stories work here, it's a very possible plot. So you're on O'Brien's side for the whole episode, which is fun. Like that the whole episode is from his point of view, that we are hearing his logs and not Cisco's. I think it's really fun.
And it turns out you've been on the side of the bad guy because he's the one that's going to disrupt the conference or assassinate people or kill all the rebels or whatever. Yep. So you're you're rooting for the bad guy for the most of the episode.
Exactly.
The other thing, one bit I found a little bit strange. So he steals the runabout. The other runabout is hot on his heels, and he's trying to find a place to hide. Yeah. And he randomly, out of the planetary system and all the planets that are there, and then the 7 moons that are on the planet he randomly chooses the planet with where everybody's hiding. Or that he randomly chooses the moon where everybody's hiding, including Cisco and Kira and Bashir. I was like, that's a bit strange.
It's probably not random. It's programming.
Okay. I'll buy that.
Okay.
So what do we think about our characters in this episode?
Yes. Kenneth Marshall, who plays Michael Eddington, is not in this.
He is not.
He is
not in this episode.
But he is in Krull, the movie Krull.
He is in that film.
Yes.
Now, there was someone playing an engineering ensign that O'Brien kept bumping up against. Do you know who that was?
De Curtis?
Curtis.
No, D. Curtis.
D. Curtis, yes.
Yes. Played by Todd Waring, who's been in a bunch of things like Melrose Place and NYPD Blue, Jag, The West Wing, Boston Legal.
Yeah, I can see that. He's got that kind of look about him.
Yeah. We've also got Rosalind Chow. Is that how you say her name? Chow? Yeah. She plays Keiko O'Brien.
I thought she did a great job in this episode, sort of, playing someone who, because obviously they know right away, right? And they knew before we even see O'Brien. So she's playing a woman who's got to be pretending to love this person who's there, who's not her husband. So I thought she did a nice job playing that sort of paranoia.
Yes.
I just got that. That's just Keiko being a bit moody all the time.
No, I don't think so.
What was weird then was Molly.
Yeah.
How was Molly in on it?
Yeah, why would they even let Molly in on it?
Yeah,
she's free.
Yeah, she's going to give up the game, isn't she?
Yeah.
You'd think, because she pushes away from him, so that means she's been told to do that. Doesn't make sense.
And and as a 3-year-old, even if you were told, that guy comes in and he's acting like your daddy, why would you not think he was your daddy? Like I had to think that maybe there was something else about him that pushed her away, but I don't know what.
Or like, I don't know.
Yeah, it made sense to me that, and this is just a weird little blip in the writing, right? Blip is maybe the wrong word, but it made perfect sense to me that Keiko sent Molly to, for a sleepover at somebody else's quarters. What didn't make sense to me was that she did not expect what O'Brien's reaction was going to be of, oh, we have the house to ourselves.
Yeah.
we know that these two are very amorous. We see that he's, they love each other very much as often as they can. And the fact that she wouldn't think that that's where he's going to go with that and be prepared for that, it just doesn't make sense to me. That it seemed like she didn't expect him to do that, and that didn't make sense.
Yeah.
I love the way you put that, though. They love each other as often as they can.
Well, there are children
we're
about.
trying to keep it PG-13.
True.
They could teach the other people in the apple.
Yeah. The Trumpedo. Another guest star, Susan Bay, who played Admiral that O'Brien contacts. I didn't know. I'm assuming every other Star Trek fan knew that she was, unless ChatGPT is made another mistake and I'm going to look so stupid. She was married to Leonard Nimoy. Is this correct?
Well, let's find out.
I don't know.
Yeah, up until his death in 2015.
Let's see.
Well, unless Google is also wrong, which actually would kind of make sense because ChatGPT and Google are, all with that. Yeah.
I had no idea. That's quite cool, though.
Yes, he was married to Susan Bay in 1989.
And through that marriage is cousin-in-law to Michael Bay of Movies That Explode fame.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
That is weird.
This was her second appearance on Deep Space Nine. She was first in the episode Past Prologue in season 1.
Was she the same person?
Cool.
Pardon?
Was she the same character?
Yeah, Admiral Rollman.
Ah.
And she was one of the original 6, a group of women directors who created the Women's Steering Committee of the Directors Guild of America to protest against gender discrimination in Hollywood.
I would expect nothing less of somebody that Leonard Nimoy married, considering his activities. Oh, I love it.
Her first acting role was on an episode of The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis in 1963.
Never heard of it.
Okay, so, I had never heard of this until a few years ago, and then my mother gets this DVD set in the mail, and she's so excited because she's like, I found Dobie Gillis, and it was something she watched when she was younger. And it's it's a sitcom from the 60s and late 50s. I'll just leave it with that.
Okay.
But that made me laugh because this is the first time I've seen it referenced probably since then.
Oh, here's an interesting another bit of trivia about Susan Bay. Her first husband was John Schuck, who played the Klingon ambassador Kamarag in Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home and in Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country.
You pompous ass. Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah. So he was working with Leonard Nimoy while she was still married to him.
Oh, yeah. That would be a point. And then after they married.
Uh-huh.
Although, yeah. Interesting. I wonder who ended that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
it says they divorced in 1983.
Oh, so they were
already divorced.
Oh, okay.
All right.
But still could be a little bit awkward. Like, oh, I'm married to your ex-wife. Conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, let us talk about other things now then. Let us talk about importance to canon. How important is Whispers to the greater story of Deep Space Nine?
We never meet those alien guys again, do we?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember their names, but we never go back to them. They seem quite important as part of the episode. Some big diplomatic conference going on, and then just away. Like Chrissy said, though, it's maybe the first of many Let's Torture O'Brien episodes. So there's a common theme here.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why O'Brien seems to think that he should be responsible for all the security for the conference. I got that impression at least.
Not the security, the tech behind the security, I feel like.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
At least that was the read I had on it.
Right, okay. So I'm going to say not entirely important to canon.
No.
Mm-mm. I have one thing that we could retcon that could make it very important to canon, but this is totally in my head.
Okay.
How do you make a replicant that good?
Yeah.
That's a changeling.
But changelings don't have your memories. He had everything. He was even better than that. He was like an identical copy, wasn't he?
That's true.
With
Like
the
I said, it was
exception
just in my head.
Yeah.
Just popped in my head now.
The exception that Molly could detect him.
Yeah, and
Perhaps
Odo
the
didn't.
Molly detector.
No, Odo wouldn't have.
I
I don't know. Just trying to make it more relevant.
Fit in your head canon. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I get it.
We didn't see Dax in this episode at all, did we? She wasn't.
I think she's in the background in one part. I feel like one of the times when they're in ops, she's there, but I don't know if she had any lines.
Yeah, we get Sisko, Kira, Odo, Bashir.
Mm-hmm.
Jake a lot, yeah.
A little bit of Kira, yep.
Because Jake's the only one that's not in the conspiracy until the end. Until he snitches, yeah.
I thought that was really nice. A nice turnabout there. This sort of, oh, he's finally got somebody he can talk to, and then Jake turns on him too. Like, that's got to be, I thought that was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very Hitchcockian.
Yes.
I just watched The Birds last week. Talking about Hitchcock. Such a good movie.
Oh, yeah.
I just saw a cartoon that said, what if Hitchcock directed Sesame Street and it was The Big Birds?
I saw that going around too. That was good. And black and white too, of course.
Yes. All right. So importance to canon, not a ton, but we can stretch it. How about our Trekkiness quotient here? How does this relate to the sort of themes of the show?
It's very Trek, but turned on its head because it turns out that it wasn't aliens taking over everybody.
Yeah, it was a nice twist on it, wasn't it?
It reminded me of the Next Gen episode where they all lose their memory and the guy shows up on the bridge and you're like,
how the hell
Clues?
Was that?
No. That's the other one where they lose their memory. And they end up he ends up getting them involved.
No,
what?
I'm thinking Disaster.
No.
That's the one that hit the quantum filament.
Yeah.
There's the guy
anyway, he poses as the first officer and he ends up getting them involved in this war, and then they figure it out at the last minute. But it kind of reminded me of that, just from a different angle.
Conundrum.
Thank you.
The only thing I remember from that episode is it was an executive officer, Kieran McDuff.
Yep.
Because it sounds really Scottish.
I knew it was one of the one-word C titles: Clues, Conundrum, or Conspiracy.
I couldn't remember.
Yeah. So I think this one is it ranks there.
Absolutely. It's very rewatchable. I think every time you watch it, you'll probably pick up on more little things.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I loved the sort of grand tour of the station too, right? Like we were everywhere from O'Brien's quarters to Sisko's office. We were all up and down those stairs on ops. The promenade, the Jeffries tubes, the engineering department. Like it was a great tour of the station as well.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a question. Do you think Quark knew? He went to Quark's at one point. Was Quark in on it?
That's a good question. I almost feel like he would have to be, but at the same time, I also feel like they wouldn't want to give him that information. They don't know him well enough yet to know that he wouldn't use that to his own advantage.
Right.
I think that's what he's trying to do, though. He's trying to, because he knows O'Brien's been away on this mission, and he's trying to leverage him for information, so he can maybe make.
Yeah, but he would do that
anyway. Yeah,
with real O'Brien. That's just him asking questions. I think that's to be expected. It's the other part. You know, would he? They don't know Quark well enough at this point to know that he wouldn't blackmail them over that information.
Right.
Blackmail the crew, you know, Starfleet. So I don't think he knows.
I think it's interesting that we're asking the question because we don't really know.
He's the one sort of gray area.
Because he acts it in a way that he could be in it, but he might not be. I think.
Fun. Yeah. Well, are we ready to move on to the debate and the voting portion here?
I think so.
Sure.
Let's. So we had put our 2 polls up on Discord and Facebook. So in the Discord poll, it was fairly close. 5 votes for Whispers to 3 votes for the Apple. And on Facebook, it was 10 votes for Whispers and 4 votes for the Apple. Now, I know some people vote on both polls, so we can't
voter integrity issues.
The integrity issues of the 15 to 7 is up in the air, but I think from both polls it is clear that Whispers is the choice of the audience. And like I said, we did have a comment from Dan Galea, who had said, and of course it's now gone from my screen and I have to find it again. Dan was on the side of Whispers, and he said, I loved both of these, but Whispers wins on the performance of Colm Meaney. He sells it as the everyman in this situation like this, and we are more invested. Do you think this would have worked if it had been any other character? If it had been a Bashir or a Dax that was acting like this? Or is it because O'Brien is sort of an everyman? He's got a wife and a family and is involved in almost every aspect of the station that it could only be O'Brien.
Are there any other episodes that are similar but with a different character in O'Brien's place?
Question.
Because I think they probably each get a chance of being part of that kind of story, where they're the main bit.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure. I can not off the top of my head.
I can't think right now either. But anyway, so that is how our listeners have voted. How are we going to vote? Chrissy, as the guest, I'll let you place the first vote.
My vote goes to Whispers. Definitely.
Joe?
Let me see. So, I feel like the 60s is maybe going to not allow TOS to move through to round 2 in any way. Guys, I think I think the judgments we make about TOS episodes being problematic in 2024 are just going to mean we discount them. Having said that, Whispers is better. Yeah.
No, I agree. I do agree that it may be hard for TOS episodes to win in this setup that we have, but I'm glad that we're talking about them, and and we can talk about why they aren't moving forward. I do think there are a few episodes, and especially when we get to the movies, that will win.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I would not count Captain Kirk out
quite yet.
So, speaking of that, should we find out what our next 2 episodes are going to be?
My favorite bit.
Here we go.
Have you seen this is the most exciting bit of the podcast on Bat'leth Battles? Brace yourself.
I am bringing up the episode, the wheel of episodes. Here we go. Come on. Why is it not there? Where is my wheel? I am reloading my wheel. It was there just a minute ago. I am what is happening? Where's the wheel? Oh, there it is. And there it's gone. There we go. Here we go.
There we go.
We are spinning the wheel. And our first episode on the wheel today is
Don't Get Hypnotized.
Ooh.
Can you read it? It's tiny.
An Enterprise episode. Home.
Interesting.
Home from Star Trek Enterprise, and
don't recognize it.
Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, I don't recognize that off the top of my head either.
Yeah,
it is Unification. Unification.
We call it. And now, do we have to record that episode?
Yeah, I think you could just call that one.
Yeah.
Do another two.
Well, it's it'll be interesting. I am not as familiar with Enterprise as I should be, so I'm excited to watch an Enterprise episode. Let's see, what episode is Home? How far into Enterprise was that? It is.
Oh, is that?
It's a fourth season episode.
Yeah, they're in the bar, and Earth's become all xenophobic and racist towards Phlox, and they get in a bar fight. Yeah.
Once the Enterprise finally returns to Earth, the weary crew face repercussions from their journeys, both positive and negative. Interesting. Okay. Versus Unification.
Just after they've come back from the what's it called? The Expanse, the Abyss, the
Expanse.
Yeah.
Expanse.
Yeah.
Yep, they are. According to Memory Alpha, this is the last episode of the Xindi Crisis arc, which is a 28 episode arc, it says. And also the first episode of the Xenophobic Humans arc. So, which is a 3 episode arc, apparently.
Wow.
I'm looking forward to that. It should be interesting.
Yeah. I'll be there for that.
All right. We should put some sound effects in here. I have been bad at keeping the sound effects going. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Oh, in stereo?
I just got stunned.
Yes, you did. So we would love to hear what you thought about today's episode, and we'll hope you join our Facebook group, the BQN Collective, to continue our discussion there. Or you can follow the network on Twitter and Instagram at BQN Podcasts, or join us in our Discord server where the Bat'leth Battle polls will always be posted. So, Chrissy, where can people find you when you are protecting yourselves from killer flower darts?
I have allergies too, so that's like a double one, Well, you can find me on 2 of our Collectives podcasts here, Infinite Diversity, where we discuss each new episode of Trek as it's released. If you're watching this live, then our episode on the last episode of Discovery is going to drop on Tuesday. If you're watching or listening, this drops on Wednesday.
We drop on Wednesday.
If we remember.
Yeah, so it's already in the feed there. Listen to this, and then in a few minutes you can queue up Infinite Diversity.
Excellent.
And there's also History with the Zloggies. That's that twice weekly short history podcast I do with my fellow historian partner Jason. He's going to be focusing on some World War II stuff this week because it's anniversary of D-Day, so good stuff there. And I'm happy to chat about our shows in the BQN Collective on Facebook and in our Discord server. And I'm on the various socials as the Goddess Livia, that's TheGoddessLivia, where you can see my opinions about Star Trek history and leftist politics. Joe, where can people find you when you're not taking over the duties of one of your colleagues because the bosses think that they might be someone else?
Do somebody else's work. Have you seen me at work? Yeah. That's why I get ChatGPT to do all my work. It's so much easier. I love Alex. Alex, if you're listening, I love you. When I'm not doing that, though, you can get me on the BQN Collective on Facebook or on our Discord server, BQN Podcasts. You can email me, joepodcast@gmail.com, or get me on Twitter or Instagram or other places at JoeyJoe77UK. And I think that's about it. I don't think I've forgotten anything. That's good. So Kevin, where can people find you when... I don't know. I think when you're not, I don't know, when you're not standing on urinate landmines.
If that happens, I turn to Doctor Who because he knows what to do when he's standing on a landmine. You just don't move and keep your heart rate going properly.
Yeah.
But if I'm not standing on a landmine, I am around the BQN Collective. I post the polls in the collective and in the Discord server. I do a podcast with some local friends called True North Nerds. The last episode we discussed the ending of X-Men 97, which was a really great show, much better than it had any right to be. And if you're in the Central Ontario area, I will be performing in a play at the Simcoe County Theatre Festival in Barrie, Ontario this summer. And it's sort of a Twilight Zone-y, alternate dimension, alternate reality kind of show. So it's a one-act play called Blueberry Pie. Please come. So let us now hear what else is going on the network.
What shows are on BQN, you ask? Well, here's a rundown of some podcasts you might be interested in. All Good Things, a Star Trek Universe podcast covering all of Trek, hosted by Amy, Mark, Christos, Kelvin, and Kristen. Whether you've got Xbox or Nintendo, check out Bargain Bin Gamer, a YouTube show hosted by Davey, a self-proclaimed gamer who specializes in reviewing and showcasing affordable video games. 2 episodes enter the arena, 1 comes out victorious. Join hosts Joe and Kevin, and a guest, as they debate which should win the Bat'leth Battle. Grab your popcorn as you listen to Cinema Z, a film discussion and review podcast showcasing films you probably missed, but should definitely check out. Hosted by Mark and Matt. Don your apron for The Food Replicator, where Matthew eats and drinks his way through the Star Trek cocktail and 3 cookbooks. Beam Aboard Galaxy Class, a Star Trek Next Generation podcast covering all of TNG, hosted by Steven. In order to not repeat it, listen to History with the Zalogis, a snippet of historical events from around the world, hosted by Chrissy and Jason. For the newest Trek coverage, check out Infinite Diversity, hosted by Chrissy and Thad. Curl up with a good book and delve into beta canon with Peter, host of the online Trek Book Club on Twitter, and his new companion, Trek Book Club podcast. Test your Trek knowledge with Trexperts Quiz, a Star Trek quiz show hosted and written by Davey. Whether you're a member of Starfleet Federation or Planetary Union, go check out Union Federation, covering current Star Trek and the Orville, which we all know is really a Trek show, hosted by Kyle, Kevin, Amy, and Haley. Head over to YouTube and watch The View Screen live on Sundays, your Trek-inspired talk show hosted by Kelvin and Amy, with Season 2 starting in September for a 10-week run. Spill the tea with Christos while he discusses current Trek news and events and explores the world of fandom via guest interviews, all with a LGBTQIA+ perspective on What's the Tea Bab. And for our Patreon members, we have The Hive Mind with monthly script readings, Let's Fly, a Discovery reaction show, It's Green, a cornucopia of topics, Amy's Math Moments, a quick look at math moments in Star Trek. We know you have a choice of podcasts to choose from, and we thank you for listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
So lots going on the BQN. Lots and lots of shows to listen to fill your ear holes.
Lots and lots and lots.
Lots and lots.
It's good.
It is good.
If you'd like to help us keep all our shows coming to you each week, you can become a patron of the network on Patreon. For just $1 a month, you can join our Let's Fly reaction show, which, are we doing another one? There won't be any more, will there? Oh.
There will be one more, I think, to wrap up the whole season of Discovery.
That'd be nice. We also do script readings and enjoy our special patron-only shows of It's Green and Amy's Math Moments. Visit patreon.com/BQN to get all the details and watch your messages. If becoming a patron isn't your thing, you can still support the show by sharing our posts on social media, talking about it with your friends, or hitting the subscribe button on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, and leaving us a star rating and written review. That helps others to find the show.
And we'd like to thank our executive producers who make this show possible, and a special thanks to Mark White for the artwork and Joe Keegan himself for the show music.
Mm-hmm. So thank you for joining the Bat'leth Battle, and until next time,
Go read some history.
there you go.
Yeah, something. Why is the antimatter gone inert?
Well, we didn't even talk about that.
And there goes paradise. We're out.